Okay. Almost 6 o'clock. Nope, it's 6 o'clock. Clock on the wall's a little slow. Welcome everyone to the City of Reading Planning Commission meeting, regular meeting for Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. I will acknowledge that here in the third floor conference room, we have Danny Piccolo, Peter Rye, myself, Wayne Beeler, I'm chairman. Nelson DeLeon is on Zoom, and Wilson Feasey is with us on Zoom. So the first order of business is to accept the Planning Commission meeting agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, changes? Okay. Hearing none, do I hear a motion to accept the agenda?
So move.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. I'll take Peter. I'll take Nelson as the second. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. We'll first move on to our presentation of the annexation plan for the Joint Municipal Authority of Wyomissing Valley. I'll turn it over to Jerome since for the summary, since this is the first time we've seen this. No, second time. Oh.
All right, this is the annexation plan that's submitted by the Joint Municipal Authority of Wyomissing Valley. It contains 2 parcels of land, which total cumulative area is 7.36 acres. As I mentioned, this plan was reviewed prior and revised accordingly. The thing that we were waiting for last time it was before us was the First County Planning Commission review, which we have now received. Arrow Consulting did update the plan as per our requirements, and we did receive a draft deed description for the common deed, and the only thing is that the Plan B certification of ownership and accuracy, which was also done, be submitted after the plan is approved. The draft deed description can be recorded at the same time as the plan is recorded as well. So it's all in good shape and ready to go.
Very good. Do you have anything to add to that, Lowell?
No, I believe that's correct. I believe everything is ready to go. All the comments that were received were minor and addressed. And it's just combining the lots. There's not more going on.
Very good. We appreciate your work on this. This is something that the city's been trying to do for a while to get these businesses to combine their lots so that people can eat. So very good. With that, do I hear a motion to approve the final annexation plan for the Joint Municipal Authority of Wyomissing Valley at 701 Old Wyomissing Road, with the subject to the applicant resolving all issues referenced within the review letter by Hawk Valley Associates dated August 14th, 2023. Do I hear a motion? Danny? Okay. Second? Okay, Peter? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Opposed? Hearing none, we are once again unanimous. And thanks to Arrow Consulting for their work on this. This, as usual, went very smoothly. Okay. Next on our list here, we have the preliminary final plan review for 408 North 9th Street annexation plan. And I'll turn it over to Jerome for the summary.
Okay, this is an annexation plan that was required by the zoning hearing board. This is the zoning hearing board considered this application before, and it was in order to combine 3 parcels of land, which are located at 408 North 9th Street, as well as there are 2 parcels of land that are located along Buttwood Street. As I mentioned, they went through the zoning hearing board in order to confirm the uses as being commercial and residential, and then also to combine to evaluate the parking on the property. So this assessment did not consider or evaluate the parking lot nor the building or the apartments. So other comments that then were relevant to this project were that as per our requirements for an annexation plan, the plan will have to be joined in common deed. The common deed description will need to be completed for the project and submitted with the application. Plan should also identify all existing infrastructure and improvements, including all buildings, curbs, sidewalks, and driveways. The plan needs to be reviewed by the Berks County Planning Commission. And the certification of ownership and accuracy would need to be completed. As I mentioned, normally we would go into the review of the project if the zoning hearing board determined that the existing uses were not pre-existing conditions or non-conforming. We would have gone into this in a lot more detail. However, we're just abiding by the zoning hearing board's decision on the property, and they're combining the 2 parcels of common deed. There is some work that needs the 3 parcels actually. Yeah. So I don't think we could take any action on this since we did not get to the county review at this stage, and there is work to do. Dan Laudenslayer is the applicant's representative. Is Dan here? Okay.
Hi, Dan. He is there.
Oh,
Do you hear me?
Yep. There.
Dan, was
Okay.
Was that accurate?
Yeah. I can finish up the thing. Do you know if it was submitted to the county?
I
Because they had a lot of this stuff submitted and some of the fees. So I'm not sure, we might not have submitted to the county. So we'd have to get something into them if we haven't.
Okay, we'll have to double check that. Maybe we did not. Send all correspondence to me for now, and then we could then.
Oh, there's the county referral at,
We'll check into that, Dan, and then Brandy might be in contact with you back. If not, then I'll be in contact with you.
okay. I have my daughter typing up the legal description, so that's no particular problem. I was out there today and I measured up the utilities and whatnot on it that are going to be that are existing. There isn't a whole lot more that we need to do on it.
All right, then I would recommend we table.
What's that?
One question, Dan.
Yeah.
According to the testimony at the zoning hearing board, they're talking about 20 spaces in this lot.
No, it's only 70 feet long and 30 feet wide. You could put maybe 20 bicycles in there, but not cars.
Just let the client know that if they could fit more than 10 cars in there, which I doubt, they're going to need to come back to us.
No, they can't the way I look at it with, with the gate that they have, we can put 3 right at the gate and we can put 2 over by the building, and then you have to do a 3-point turn to get out of there with that 10-foot alley. And then there's a potential, the building that goes back from 9th Street, there's actually a 14-foot garage door in there, and you could actually put 2 inside that building. So that would give us 3, 2, and 2. That would give us 7 at the very most. And I think you're being generous.
That's the only concern.
I agree. Motorcycles. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Emily.
Hey Dan, this is Emily from the zoning office. Just to make your client aware, they still need to submit, I forget if they actually submitted a zoning permit for that parking area. But, so if they did, I'm gonna need a revised site plan. If they didn't, I'm gonna need a zoning permit application with a site plan.
For the parking lot.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure what they did. Miguel submitted a plan, and I think he had 7 parking spaces in there. But if you want to keep the gate and the fence, you're not going to get 7 in there because you can't get them in and out. If you want to tear the fence down and remove the security, then you could come off the alley and you could put 7 spaces in there.
Yeah, part of the ZHB testimony, I had suggested that either the applicant or Miguel or whoever is going to help them with that site plan to make an appointment with me. That way we can kind of figure out how to configure that parking lot without needing additional zoning relief. They also can't do gravel, so just FYI.
Yeah, well, it can paved. Is that going to get us into a stormwater issue?
We'll work with you on that.
Yeah, once I get an actual site plan for the parking area, then we can discuss what's going to be required.
And you could do that on this plan too. If you want to be more beneficial, if you can do your layout of your parking area on this plan, that'd be great.
Okay, and that's Emily talking, so we need to get that into Emily.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
By doing it on the plan, it covers 2 things. So that's why I suggested.
Okay, so we can do a site plan with the parking. Well, we can do a revised plan with all that on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And then run that past Emily before the next meeting.
Is Tim here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good, Tim. Do you have anything on this plan?
Yeah, I honestly just looked at it very recently here, and I don't know if this is going to be just a continuation of an existing use, and there's no internal improvements, and the zoning hearing board allowed that, then would there be any need? I'm trying to determine here if there'd be any need for sewer planning. If everything else stays the same, I don't know if we would need to. Nothing else is changing. I don't know that we would need, I mean, all we're doing is converting, what, 3 lots, 5 lots into 1? Is that right?
Dan, I considered putting a comment on there regarding the sanitary sewer flows, but since the zoning hearing board determined that the existing uses are pre-existing, I didn't touch it.
It has existing apartment uses that have been I think in use, and I think they went to the zoning because they were doing a change of use for the commercial area. And the commercial area is just going to be an office with very minor sewage flows. So I don't think there's any change from what historically has come from that building.
Dan, would you mind just putting that in a narrative like you have done in the past? Just describe what the current sewer usage is and what the proposed is, and we'll just take a look at that. If it's the same or close, then I don't think we could, we would have a need for sewer reservation.
Yeah, the downstairs, the way I understand it, is just supposed to be an office like for an employment agency. So people are walking in, they drop off paperwork and go. So it's a very, and then the apartments have been existing for forever.
And they're not talking about increasing the number of
No.
units? No,
No.
okay. Okay, yeah, if you could just make that statement or put it on the plan.
I can put it on the plan.
Yeah, that'd be the best thing. And then as far as the gravel, the existing gravel parking area, as long as you're not expanding it, if you're just going to macadam or you're going to put a weatherproof surface on it per the zoning ordinance, then that's just maintenance. There won't be any stormwater management involved with that.
Oh, that's good. So we'll call out a weatherproof surface.
Yeah, that's what they call it in the zoning ordinance. So that's either macadam or concrete,
Yeah,
but not
Yeah.
gravel.
right. Well, it's gravel now. That's so
Right,
that it's
right.
existing, and I didn't want to get too carried away until we had the meeting.
Right.
Anything, Michelle?
I don't have anything at this time.
Anything from the commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Will. So obviously, because we don't have the County Planning Commission review yet, we'll have to table this. But so we understand, we're only considering then, as per the ruling from zoning, the annexation, once we can consider it next month. We're only considering the annexation because there's no change of use, so we won't have a land development plan. So that this answered all my questions here so far. And I was wondering too about the parking. So if we don't have to do a parking plan, then the annexation would be it. And I was wondering too about the store module. So that answers that. Just the only thing was, if Jerome, if you would, our planning consultant, please explain about the addresses for this. It was a little confusing with all. I was wondering what that building was in the back, and the applicant said a garage. And I answered that. Well, that helps with the parking too. But leaving that building aside, what's the background on the addresses?
Okay,
I think the address is 408 North 9th Street. And then the two properties on Buttonwood, I imagine they had houses because there's former sewer laterals in front of them, but they were removed a long time ago. So that they would have a Buttonwood Street address. So most likely the whole thing should be called 408 North 9th Street.
yes, that's what our determination was.
What is the building in the back? Just a garage, a two-story garage?
That's basically the underneath is vacant, and then there's an enclosed second story on top of it. It's kind of an interesting building. It's brick with a 14-foot door in it that you could actually come up the alley, right? You could actually put two cars under there.
So there's two stories. One story is for parking. You're on which story? Say that grade. There's the lower level as well, or the other floor.
Dan, what's the upper floor of the garage used for?
Just storage. It's just a storage building. It's not apartments, and there's no plans to make it apartments. I asked them that, and they said storage.
And just a little background, what we've dealt with in zoning, there are quite a few of these around the city, where we've had like out of town landlords, they want to convert it for when they come into town and stuff like that. They're not allowed to, but they are more common than we think.
There's no sort of a anything for that building.
No. It should not. Doesn't mean it should not.
It does not have zoning to be used for anything other than like storage or whatever.
Do we want to put a note on the plan for that?
If you want to say that the garage is to be utilized as a garage and not an occupied use, that's good.
Okay, we can do that.
All right. Anything else on this plan?
Yeah, Wayne, this is Tim. I'm still a little confused on the address, 408 North 9th Street. Dan, are you saying that is how it is known currently? Because I'm seeing individual lots with, I believe they have individual homes or apartments on it. Are they individually addressed now, or is this collectively already known as 408 North 9th?
I think it's collectively known as 408. Let me see.
No, it's not. Hold on. The business address for the commercial use is 408, as well as the 408 9th Street, as well as the residential units. The Buttonwood Street addresses are just two per parts that are identified and occupied by the parking lot. That's it. Therefore, this became known as 408 North 9th Street, since that is the principal use. Okay.
And the 408 is labeled on the front of the building. That's the only number that's on the building.
And that's how fire, police, ambulance, and postal service would recognize this as far as an address then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good.
And that's, Mr. Chairman, why I was asking about it, so just so we're clear, the Buttonwood Street addresses, to the extent that those are used at all, would no longer be in existence, right?
Correct.
With the legal description will go along 9th Street, go back parallel to Buttonwood Street and go out perpendicular to Buttonwood Street, go down 30 feet along Buttonwood Street and then up along the alley, the distance, then up to 9th Street. So it would be all inclusive to the 5 individual parcels will all be included in one.
Very well, thank you.
And then, Dan, you're going to show another drawing with the meets and bounds, and all of those interior lines will be gone then. It'll be shown as one lot.
Yeah, well, I have the meets and bounds around there on the one plan. I probably need to make it a little bigger.
Okay.
So it's easier to see. I'm trying to save paper, but that doesn't work.
That's
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's there, but I think it's
Yeah.
a little small and I put the utilities and stuff on so I'll probably readjust the paperwork there. Maybe make it 2 plans, put an existing and a proposed on the second page.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Go to 1 inch 20 foot. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, anyone else have a comment on this? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to table? Dan? Peter? Okay. Dan motioned, Peter seconded. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good.
Quick question before I leave. I didn't see an agenda. Is there anything else that I need to stay around, or is this the only one for me tonight?
Nope, you have a 1, 2, 3 items on the reaffirmations.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
But we only have one more plan to review, Dan, so it won't be too long.
Okay, that's all right.
All right, very good. So we will move on to the plan for Windsor Way Holdings, minor land development plan, preliminary final plan review at 1340 Center Avenue, which was the former Reading Rentals building, among other commercial uses. So I will turn it over to Jerome for the introduction.
Okay. This plan was submitted to us as a preliminary / final plan application. It is for property at 1340 Center Avenue, which consists of 1.37 acres with existing buildings and other improvements that are located on the property. The plan was prepared by Berg Surveying and Engineering. And the proposed preliminary / final plan application has been accepted as as part of this review process. Going on to number 3 of the review letter, as I had mentioned, that there is an existing building that will be converted or redeveloped or with commercial space to be occupied by 7 storefront properties. There is going to be a future use on the property for residential apartments, which will be as many as 24 residential apartments. It appears that the applicant wants to phase the project. So this phase will be focused on the 7 storefront properties, and then the subsequent phase will be for the residential development of the property. It would probably make more sense if you did them all at the same time from a planning standpoint, but I don't think that the applicant is prepared to address the residential apartments. The site is located within the R3 zoning district. The applicant has received a special exception and other zoning relief from the zoning hearing board via appeal 2022-29, which was issued on August 10th, 2022. Note 15 on the land development plan should include the appeal number, the date, and the complete decision. The zoning office, we had asked that they review the land development plan in order to verify that the proposed uses are consistent with the term other uses that are relevant to the R3 zoning district, and they can do that prior to the time when the zoning permit is issued. As mentioned, the 24 residential units will be considered possibly at a future date, and that should be clearly noted on the plan that we're not considering that part of the project at this point, but just that it will be required as part of a subsequent land development plan. Number 7 on the plan, the applicant did submit architectural renderings, floor plans, and building elevations with the zoning hearing board appeal. That information, if it has been updated or if it's the same information, should be submitted with this application. A lighting and landscaping plan would be required for this site, since there is the change of use would require the land development. So that needs to be provided on the plan. It should not be a problem with, in order to conform with the neighborhood characteristics. Curbs and sidewalks and ramps and driveway aprons are located along Center Avenue, Pike, and Front Street. And these all appear to be in relatively good condition. So we will need the help to verify that they are is necessary. We noticed that one of the I believe it's the corner of Pike and Front may require a ramp at that location. The proposed reuse and I'm sorry, there will be a need to show the proposed location for a solid waste management and recycling location. That's on the site that conforms with the requirements. The proposed development will be served by sanitary sewage disposal. As what we require is that we will have to evaluate sanitary sewage flows based upon the phasing. So I guess we'll focus on a narrative for phase 1, which is the commercial uses. And then phase 2 is going to be the commercial uses with the residential apartment uses. In either case, we will eventually require a planning module for this property. It makes sense to do it once versus twice, but that will need to be accomplished. Fire and rescue will need to evaluate the property in order to determine if the fire hydrants, standpipes, and other related emergency response facilities are adequate. Redevelopment of this project will include a on-street parking area, which is also, well, it's actually a parking and loading area. The only thing we objected to was the loading space that's located along Center Avenue. It did not seem to be, although it might have been used as such in the past, it will interfere with pedestrian accessibility, and it might be a better location if it's located in one of the parking areas versus along the sidewalk. We asked for a few notes to be added to the plan to make sure that it's in conformity with other requirements. There probably will not be a need for a municipal improvements agreement nor a stormwater management improvements agreement, since all of the exterior areas are improved already. We'll have to talk about the curbs and sidewalks and ramps possibly, if they could be accomplished as part of the building permit sequence. Other than that, the Berks County Planning Commission will need to review the plan, and I believe they had submitted their review letter, and the certificates of ownership and accuracy will also completed. That summarizes the comments within the review letter.
Okay, Tim, do you have anything on this one?
Yeah. Again, I just looked at this recently. I noticed that we don't have a site plan, so it's hard for me to judge, what's being proposed. But I do know that you're doing an HOP. Do we have a representative here that I can ask questions to?
Yeah, Tim, Rob Hayne here for Berks Survey.
Oh, good. Hi, Rob. Yeah, I know you're doing an HOP for the driveway. I assume it's the one at the top of the street, the further south. There's two other existing driveway aprons. Are those going to be removed?
We have not proposed to, we've not requested an HOP for PennDOT for any of the existing driveway access points on this property. Again, our stance is that these are existing driveways, and therefore should need re-permitting. There should be a site plan that was submitted. I don't know if you can bring that up for.
Yeah, it was submitted, and Dan, sorry, there is no HOP that's required for this project.
That's no.
Yeah, this is the building
Berks
permit.
County plan.
So this is actually architectural plan, so there should be one. It'll say Berks Survey.
Yeah, I don't know if Berks County was thinking that because it's the intensification of use that.
No, I think that they just didn't look at the plan. There is no HOP that's required.
Because, yeah, Berks County says there is.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing. Jerome, what was that about the HOP?
There is no HOP that's required.
Is this is a minor land development plan?
Yes.
Okay, we have a existing driveway apron, actually with 3 on a state highway, and you're saying we don't need to get a highway occupancy for a driveway?
They're already existing.
And they're already permitted, you're saying?
No, they exist. Whether they were permitted or not is extremely difficult to obtain records from PennDOT on previous permits, but they have been there and in use for decades.
But then they'll need to be permitted. Yeah. Because we just had the one on School Avenue that we dealt with 6 months for permitting. That's what's required. Yeah, the church.
Modify the existing driveways or raise new driveway?
No, it was more of a complicated thing. Let me think of a better.
The ones that we've had, we haven't required.
The one on Schuylkill Avenue for the church completely had to revise their layout and their operation in order to get the church because they couldn't get an HOP on Schuylkill Avenue.
Yeah, and that one's a little bit different because they changed the movements around it. This one's not changing.
Oh. I know. I forget what's going in there now, but when the one on Rockland Avenue was proposed, the storage place on Rockland Avenue, that required an HOP. And because that required an HOP, the people dropped their
They were changing the location.
Yeah, okay. So,
So, Tim, do you believe that an HOP is required?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the MPC says, but I can tell you from a city's perspective, those two driveways that you're looking at right there, I think from a zoning perspective, at least one of them's not going to meet. It's too close to the intersection.
It would be considered non-conforming.
So it would be a continuation of a non-conforming use.
Yeah, they're not expanding the driveway, they're not changing the location, so it would just be a non-conformity.
Okay, well, if zoning's okay, then I guess I won't complain.
Tim, they're not going to be using this. If they were to take away the driveway entrance or the ramps that is currently shown, and just have it curved, the curb extended, the vertical curb extended, would that require an HOP as well?
Yeah, anytime you touch a curb next to a state highway, you got to get an HOP because you'll be breaking the pavement to put in the curb. But if it's a continuation of a non-conforming use, then, I don't have a comment.
Yeah, the only thing that they planned on using it for was for the would have been for the loading space.
Right, and access to 88.
Yeah.
South side.
Yeah, and that's where I was stating that it probably isn't the greatest idea to have the loading space next to or parallel to the sidewalk.
You mean on the street?
Yeah,
The way it's striped right now, those are two drive lanes. And the block to the north, next to the elementary school is signed as no parking on this block. But now this property is on the next block, but it should also be signed no parking, because if you spin it around a little bit more, you'll look at the drive lanes. There's two drive lanes and there's not enough room. You'll see the white dashed line. So you've got two drive lanes. You can't have two drive lanes. You can have one drive lane in parking, but you can't have two drive lanes in parking. So this should also be signed no parking, like the elementary school block. I don't know why it isn't.
Tim, what are your thoughts on that loading space parallel to the sidewalk? The way we look at this is just be easier for access for box trucks to get in and out, rather than having to, finagle their way in and out of that.
Yeah, again, without looking, I don't have the site plan in front. So describe the loading space. Is it where the car is parked or is it on the street?
Parallel to the sidewalk. So you come in the one driveway.
Yeah.
Come over parallel on the other side of the back side of the sidewalk and then park parallel to Center Avenue. So yeah, there you go.
yeah. Tim, the plan view is on page 3 of my review.
Okay, so you're saying it would be behind the curb, not in the street.
Correct. It's behind the street right away. You come in further up with your pointer. So right there's the loading space. So essentially you come in the driveway closest to Center Avenue and then just pull parallel to the front of the building. You park in there, unload, and then pull out the southern driveway to get back out on Center Avenue. As opposed to coming in the driveway and having to try and turn around in a tight space in that existing macadam area on the south side of the building. This was more, again, primarily for ease of access to maintain loading and unloading there. We realize that there's the pedestrian walkways there adjacent to Center Avenue, but we feel that, the driveway accesses are still going to be the same places where you have interaction between vehicles and pedestrians. And once they pull in and park, essentially it's the same thing. They're coming back out the driveway to get back out on Center Avenue.
So you're going to be backing out onto Center Avenue then with the loading.
Straightforward, you come in the driveway on the north end and come out the driveway on the south end.
Okay, I understand now. Okay. So you pull in and you pull out separate driveway. You're going to use two driveways to do that maneuver.
The driveways are already there, and it's my assumption that's probably how they were all previously operating this building with the overhead door. In the
Right.
front and Such, so it seemed to make the most sense to continue with that vein for the future commercial uses on that level.
And the only thing I brought up about that was it's just the conflict with the pedestrian traffic that could utilize that. However, if that's the only option that they have, then that's the only option.
Okay, and you don't have any plan then to use curbside parking, on-street parking in that block, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because we got to take a look at that signage, because with the two drive lanes, we should be having some signage there that says no parking on this block.
Yes, and Wayne had actually brought up earlier that parking or to make sure that there's no school event parking happening on the site and adjacent to the site as well. So we can definitely add some signage for the plan to make sure that that's properly addressed.
Fine, yeah, it's good.
The parking for patrons coming to this facility would be in that sidewalk.
So primarily the parking for patrons is going to be in the lot that's accessed off of Front Street in the back. We're only proposing handicap parking in the lot accessed off of Center Avenue, just because the elevation difference from the front of the building to the back of the building, you're down on a lower level, because you're not going to get wheelchair ADA access to the front of those commercial units that front on the Center Avenue side. So you
And their dumpster, which I now see.
right, and the dumpster, which would be in there. So I mean, primarily that would take care of, again, we're looking at this, phasing this plan for, this is the development of that one level of the building with the 7 commercial units, or however that, whatever facsimile that ends up being. This will provide ADA parking for them and access across the front of the units, the waste disposal there, and then the patrons would park in the rear and they could access how they could access.
They would walk around the building or
They could walk around the building or through the building. There's going to be access provided through the building, but they could also walk around.
future apartments, would they be within the structure or?
Future apartments are on the, I believe, upper levels and lower levels.
They would have access to that as well.
So I see the street view.
Yeah, that might be helpful if you pull up the Pike Street.
It's on my review too.
The oh, and also on that side of Pike Street, there is parking.
It's 3 stories in the back.
Yeah, there's a significant elevation drop between Center Avenue and Front Street on this property.
Parking is at the lowest level of the back.
So yeah, here's a good view from Front Street. So you can see essentially that the middle, the top of the tan level is that's the second floor. That's at street level with Center Avenue in front.
And I think, Ron, you should point out that tan level is currently commercial, will stay.
Right, so there's a 10 level is currently commercial. A large portion of it is. I think there's still a portion of it that's just used as storage that carrier canvas doesn't currently occupy. And that would be, like, again, where they would provide for access through the building from the parking in the rear.
One thing I thought about adding also in the review was, what's the gym going to be used for?
For gym.
Still gym.
Yeah, that was a garage. I don't know if you remember when this banking group was on, originally was a garage. That's why you can see like the auto body sign, the plethora of cars that were parked on the lot at that time. Now it's just a gym, like a fitness gym. So
Would that be one of the commercial uses?
no, that's
The 7 are separate.
the 7 are separate.
Got it.
Does that include the candy shop or?
7 does not include the campus shop. So they were approved for 7 with the zoning. As things go, I'm sure you guys see redevelopment plans come through. All it takes is one guy who wants more space, and then you're down to 6 units. Next thing you know, you're down to 5 units. And then if they do any type of cafe or restaurant, or the likely they're going to have a bigger footprint because they need space for the kitchen in addition to the dining space.
So let's put a note on the plan that phase one is to consist of these proposed uses and these existing uses. Phase two would then be the residential apartments. If that's not going to be considered at this time.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we don't have the tenants yet, so we can't say the specific uses. I mean, right now, we're assuming, most likely there'll be some sort of a restaurant or cafe type use, and then retail uses for the rest, but they could be professional offices or whatever else would comply with zoning.
I think it can be pretty general, saying up to 7 commercial.
Okay.
That's how we would handle it, in zoning. So they were approved for 7 storefronts along that Center Avenue area. But if they were to go down to 6 or 5, just because, one tenant wanted more space or anything, they wouldn't necessarily require additional ZHB approval because it's less intense than what they were approved for.
Sure.
Now, if they wanted to divvy it up further and create an 8th one, then that would require additional relief.
Just before we get too much further on, the Berks County Planning Commission review letter also indicated that they weren't sure that this plan needed to go through formal land planning. Is there any consideration on the table for waiving formal land planning on this project, since the parking lots are already there, the access is already there, we're pretty much just modifying stuff inside the building and then,
It's a requirement for ZHB approval.
Okay.
So it's required.
okay.
Right.
Also,
Also, it's a adaptive reuse, which requires parts to go through us. That's in the zoning ordinance. Right? I try to remember. Anything else, Tim? Oh, Ron and I were talking about sewer modules.
Yeah, I think Jerome said you provide a narrative for this phase one or the initial commercial use. And then I guess we need to see how that compares to what's already been approved by the DEP for this lot. I don't know if there's anything on record, but there's always the default is 1 EDU since it's one lot.
right, yeah, Wayne and I were talking earlier, and I believe Alex had reached out to you, Tim, back before we had submitted the plan, trying to see if there was any records for the public works on how many EDUs were already allocated to this building, since there was 3 or 4 commercial uses on the property previously. We're just trying to figure out what's available there before we made created our narrative, so that we could provide that comparison to see what would be required for sewage planning on this site.
Yeah, the other option we use is if we can't find any prior DEP approved planning modules for this lot, we go back to 2012, which is when the last time that the city updated their Act 537 plan, which is they used the flows that were existing to the treatment plant at that time. And we would if we had the records, and we may or may not have them, water records from 2012, we could look at those and judge to see what number of EDUs would be be used at during that period when the Act 537 plan was being modeled and generated. Do you know, Rob, what the uses were in 2012? Was it occupied?
I do not know, and again, it kind of goes along with what the guidance Wayne was giving me earlier, was that we could reach out to Wawa, Wawa to
Right.
bring the water usage on the site.
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to go back to 2012, but I may be able to do that because we have some of that historic information on our database.
Okay.
So that's typically what I end up doing, looking back to see if there is anything. It's not always successful, but I can take a look. I would say there's probably not anything that I recall in our files for this lot, but we could look at that too to see if there's any approved planning modules. I don't know when the last time this thing had an approved land development plan. I don't know if you have any data on that.
My assumption would probably be never, but possible it might have something. But I think what we'll do is we'll try to focus on doing some historical research on the property to see how many uses and what uses were on the properties in 2012 and since then. And then if you could look up, you to see, confirm if there are any records available with Public Works. If you're saying it's not worth reaching out to Wawa, then I won't, but otherwise we could reach out to them too to see if they have anything that might be help us out.
I mean, you could try, but if it's the 2012 timeframe, they're going to say they won't have those records. And we've done this before. So I do have some records that go back to 2012, and it oftentimes is successful, and I can find meter records, but not every lot.
I mean, if we could see that there was 4 commercial uses that being used in 2012, would that be a safe assumption that we could say that there's 4 use for this property, or?
Yeah. If we could justify that there was, 50,000 gallons, per month or whatever it is, we could then translate that into the proposed use for the 7 commercial units that you're proposing on this plan and compare the flows. And if it's under that, then there wouldn't be a need at this time to do any additional planning because it's already included in the Act 537 plan. Now, when you get to the apartment use, that's a whole nother story. But that would be for a different submission.
Okay.
So yeah, Rob, if you could do that and let me know what you find. I mean, don't break the bank looking for the records on your end. I'll see what I can do on my end to see if I can come up with some flows, and also try to see if we've got any approved, modules that may have occurred on this lot.
Absolutely. Okay, I guess other than, Tim, do you have anything else that you want to add? I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing here is the only site improvements seem to be maintenance of the parking lot. Is there any structural or any other physical improvements you're making on the site?
No, I mean, it's line striping and yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Okay, well then, yeah, I don't see any other public works concerns for this.
They probably will need a ramp at the intersection.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you don't think the state already put one in there? Because they just paved Center Avenue not that long ago.
This is located at Pike and Front.
Oh, Pike and Front. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, I was thinking out at the state highway. You're right, at Pike and Front. Yeah,
We could do that as part of the building permit application.
yes. Yeah, it's a good point.
This loading dock, is it a loading dock or is it just a place to park?
It's just a place to park. It's not a dock. I believe they have an overhead door on the front of the building that they want to maintain so they can, back trucks in and storage space that's inside the building. But it's not a dock per se. It would just be access.
For the most parts of no one will be there.
With essentially 7 storefronts.
So I don't understand the logic there because right, your storefronts there. But I mean, fortunately with this, like I said, it's less. Generally, the way I've seen these developments happen is they do their loading and unloading in the off hours. That way you don't have the truck blocking your storefront during the peak hours of the day. Since you don't have people parking over there, patrons are not parking directly in front of the building. You're not having that interaction of your loading space, your unloading and unloading actions with your patrons driving back and forth to the park. So it eliminates that concern. But my concern is more just get the trucks in and out of the site safely without having to make a 30-point turn to get around and back out of Center Avenue.
Well, if I was leasing a storefront space and there was a truck parked in front of my store,
No, I fully understand it. Like I said, a lot of times the way I see this work is they just say that, let's say the storefront's open at 9, and all deliveries will be done either before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. with the school and everything else there. I'm assuming they're going to be doing something similar anyways, just to try to avoid the congestion that's already there from the school.
the other option that they have is they can use the upper parking area, which has just really the dumpster and 3 parking spaces. There's plenty of room in there.
Yeah, that's a great thing, because I wasn't able to tell if on the elevation drawings, if you were gonna put like a rail or a railing there to separate the walk area from.
Yes, so there's gonna be a separation for the, so you can see the site slopes off as you go down. So there's gonna be a separate walkway and to provide access, across the front of the building, so that would be separated there to avoid that, again, that interaction of your patrons and your pedestrians walking in there.
Michelle, the notes I was going to ask to be placed on the plan regarding the HOP highway occupancy permit would be that they are pre-existing curb cuts that may or may not have HOPs issued by PennDOT. Should they put that note on the plan?
Yeah, could we just do some research before we do that to make sure there are no HOPs?
Oh, do you have anything else, Michelle?
No.
Anything from the commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this as well. Just wanted to say, thinking about it a while, that yes, I do believe the building was in use as Reading Reynolds from at least since 2012. I think I was there last in 2013, or perhaps even later. So there should be some water and sewer usage information from the Reading Area Water Authority.
I'm just.
Go back to the
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. My kids, 0. My daughter was born in 2006, so yeah, she would have left there in 2011. So yeah, Reading Reynolds was there in 2012. I think. Yes. So hopefully we'll get something. Ron and I already discussed a lot of stuff and we went over it here, but my final question is this building already sprinklered, or does it need to be added?
To my knowledge, it's not, but I don't know that to be fact, so I have to apologize. I'll have to check into that.
Because as soon as, because that complicates things. If this building gets sprinklered, you're gonna have to open up the sidewalk, and then you're gonna need an HOP, right?
they went through a one-stop, and so building and trade's already learned that.
Yeah, so that's something that, because definitely with 24 apartments, it's going to need to be sprinkled. But you might be able to get that line off Front Street instead of Center Avenue.
Right, there's options for that.
Yeah.
So we'll look into that and see what's going on again. So the commercial use may not need it, maybe the residential most likely will. Again, 24 years, so assuming they will.
Oh.
Alex, do you have something to add?
Me? Hello?
I heard something. Wasn't sure if it was you.
Oh, did you ask? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to mention, first I want to say thank you to everybody. But I just wanted to mention that the whole entire building is sprinkled already.
Oh, okay.
Good. That's very helpful, sir.
All right, so Thank you.
The last question I guess I have is just for clarification. Lighting plan, I understand, to make sure that we have minimum safety and not maximum.
If you're not eliminating it, then it's not required.
Okay, so we're not changing the parking lot right now, technically, we're not adding the parking lot. No
If
lighting.
you were adding the lighting to it,
Okay,
then yeah, then we need a light.
okay. And landscaping is the same way, or?
Landscaping, we look to have that added, just to, since it is going to be mixed use now, landscaping, it'd be best to meet with the city arborist to discuss if there are locations where you can plant some street trees.
Anything internal that you're looking for there as well, or just the street trees?
Just the street trees, you can contact Lester at the Public Works Department.
That answers all my questions here.
Yeah, there is already some vegetation on the property. It's just,
Yeah, there's a little wooded area in the back of the lot there. Again, you have some steep slopes. So yeah, it's natural.
we look to do as much as possible.
Okay, does anyone have anything else on this plan? Jerome, we do have the Berks County Planning Commission review, but is the staff ready to get, this is a preliminary final, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So is the staff ready for a,
I threw everything at it. I mean, my review's complete. I don't think I'm missing anything. The added notes that we discussed with the HOP, I think that would be something that would be relevant and resolve a number of issues. So I think if you're looking to entertain preliminary / final plan approval, you could.
and how does everyone else feel about that? Because we're gonna get another swipe at this again when it comes through as residential. Right. Okay. Nelson or Will, do you have any reservation about putting this up for a vote?
No, Mr. Chairman.
I guess it's a good question. I guess it would be a conditional one though, because we don't have that research yet about whether there are any highway occupancy permits.
Yeah, and I'll add that as part of the motion.
Okay, and if there are any other, I mean, the usual standard conditions that it's in compliance with the review letter, I suppose. And so the recommendation is preliminary / final, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I if the staff is okay and everybody seems to be all right with it, and if we put that condition in the usual ones, I don't see any problem.
Okay.
Would we have to condition or is that a separate thing the city would do? This question is for Public Works about the no parking signage.
Yeah, Will, that would be a minor thing, and that's probably something the city should do, regardless of what's going on. It's probably something that should be there now because of the way
Not
PennDOT
right.
has marked the stripe on the
Right.
street.
It's not on the applicant, is what I'm getting at. Right. Okay.
Not really, no.
Okay. Great.
Then with that, do I hear a motion to grant conditional preliminary final plan approval for the Windsor Way Holdings development at 1340 Center Avenue, subject to the applicant resolving all issues referenced within the review letter by Hawk Valley Associates dated August 15th, 2023, and with the condition that the need for a highway occupancy that there might be a existing highway occupancy permit.
I'll offer that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Will.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. I'll take. Let's see. Nelson. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, very good.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Now it's just basically between you and staff now.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys working with us on this. We're trying to get this along as quickly as we can.
And if it does turn out that the principal has any concerns, I'll forward those concerns to you, but I'll let him know what transpired here at the meeting. I haven't been able to get a hold of him yet. The day that I'm off is the day he's downtown here at the building here downtown.
And I mean, if he wants to, if he allows you to extend his contact information, you can provide that to the applicant, so they're gonna be neighbors and the best they, communicate with each other.
Yeah, I met him last spring. Very nice gentleman. So I think everything will get along very well.
I'm sure they'll like having a nice clear, for your resident.
Yeah, very good.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and this is Will.
Yeah.
You brought something up that raises a good question. If we could ask, somebody on the staff or our consultant, please, would ask building and trade for a sprinkler system. I know for they become standard now. For residential, they can be on the same line as the main for the regular water. But the question is, for a commercial, do they have to be separate lines under our building, under the building code, or if there's any further city ordinance? Basically, we just adopt the building code. So I'm just wondering, because if that could be done on one, we're going to come up from time to time. That makes a big difference in projects. If they have to, I thought in the past that a separate line was required, but I'm wondering if that's still the case. So if we could find that out, it would be helpful to us.
Will, that would be, the city has amended the building and fire code, and I believe, and those amendments have carried over, and I believe you are correct. I mean, we can confirm that. I can send the fire marshal a text at the moment. And
Thank you.
And ask him that. Yeah, let me do that as the meeting proceeds, and see if I can get a response.
Oh, okay. We don't have to have it now, but that'd be great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right. Next we have old business project updates and pending plans. We did not get a written submission because Brandy's been so busy, as you might understand. So, and Emily's filling in. So unless Jerome has some. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so, but not at this time. So, okay, we're up to active plans requiring reaffirmation approval. First one is 420 Walnut Street. I actually had when I did my settlement on my mother-in-law's house, the person who did the settlement actually had questions for me on this property. And I had to tell her how the process works, and that he's been approved. I don't know what the holdup is on his part. So
this was Dan's project that was approved, subject to conditions. So Dan is on the line now.
Yep. Do you have anything to add on this, Dan?
You're muted, Dan. Dan, you're muted. We can't hear you.
We'll read his lips.
I believe they have escrow monies that are due, and the city wants that paid before they sign the plans. So I have contacted the three parties to get the monies in. I haven't had a whole lot of success.
That answers a lot.
So I will try contacting them again this week and get that money in so we can finish these things up and get them out of our hair.
Basically, they own them.
And how long is, oh, this is just reaffirmation. All right. Do I hear a motion to reaffirm the plan for 420 Walnut Street? Dan, and motioned, Peter seconded. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. Okay. Next is the reaffirmation of plan for 322 Walnut Street, which I forget what this is.
Almost a similar project.
It was a conversion, the property right next to Beckett's. That they were gonna do parking in the back, with the entrance on Rose, I believe.
Yep.
Ah, now I remember.
That's a Dan project as well.
Yeah, okay. Any updates on this one, Dan?
I had talked to Evie and she said she was going to get the money in, I would imagine last week, but apparently it hasn't happened. But I will contact her again.
I vaguely remember something possibly coming in. I can confirm if we received the payment. I want to say yes, but I'm not 100%.
Okay.
Either case, it gives them time for report.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, do I hear a motion to reaffirm the plan for 322 Walnut Street? Dan, second? Peter? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Next is the reaffirmation for the Sixth and Spring parking lot.
Yeah, this is the land development plan that was approved. This does have municipal improvements as well as stormwater management maintenance improvement. Those drafts were forwarded or submitted to the applicant for consideration. This is Dan's project as well.
Okay. Anything on this, Dan? I know that hers is like tearing up everything over there, so.
So once again, I told him he has to get the money paid. I'll go in there and meet with him because I just heard from Kinsley and they're working up a proposal to fix that curb along Spring Street for him. So I will need to discuss that with him to get that taken care of.
Escrow was paid.
Okay, the escrow was paid, so.
So Dan also just double checked to see if the stormwater management maintenance agreement and municipal improvements agreements were also executed.
Well, has he paid the escrow?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'll have to, how do we check if he signed the maintenance and escrow agreement?
You check on your end, we'll check on our end.
Okay,
What's that address?
This is the Sixth and Spring parking lot.
Okay, I'll check as well.
Yeah, this is the one on, used to be owned by, subdivided from property that's now owned by Jaeger Supply. Used to be a gas station. Many years ago, yeah. So, okay, great. Okay, do I hear a motion to reaffirm the plan for the Sixth and Spring parking lot?
So move.
Okay, Nelson, second? Peter? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. Next is the reaffirmation for the parking, the Reading Area Parking Authority parking lot at 625 McKnight Street.
This This project was Reading Parking Authority, and the engineer was McCarthy Engineering. Is there anyone on the line from those individuals? The information. I think that's it for you, Dan. There's no one here, but I was informed that all the ones that are on this list have provided us the reaffirmations. Okay, great.
Yeah, I have.
Great. The only thing I want to say on this is that, the parking authority should get their ducks in a row before they badmouth us about holding stuff up. So.
This also requires a municipal improvements agreement as well as a stormwater management maintenance agreement.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to reaffirm the Reading area, Reading Parking Authority lot at 625 McKnight Street? Second. Dan? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? And then the last one is the daycare and other improvements by the Reading Housing Authority at their center at Oak Brook.
Yes, this is the Reading Housing Authority project. I cannot think of who the engineer was. Or recipes.
Randy Dodger.
Either case, they're not here. They started parts of this project, or they're doing site improvements in this area, which involve this project. So municipal improvements agreement and a stormwater management maintenance agreement was required, as well as the reaffirmation of the plan. But it is Randy Daltrey, but but they're not here.
Yeah. Okay.
But we do have the reaffirmation form.
Okay. Very good. Well, hopefully we can get that straightened out quickly. Do I hear a motion to reaffirm the plan for the Reading Housing Authority project at Oak Brook? Dan? Second? Peter? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Very good. That ends that section. Okay, and we will move on to, looks like we have no active plans requiring a time extension.
That's correct. I think we'll have some next month.
Okay. Announcements, reports, and other planning commission business. So I'll turn it over to Peter for the exciting news at Blighted Properties.
Yes, I had that meeting at the properties. It lasted a good 10 minutes while we were waiting for council to show up. And then it was stopped. Extended to September 14th.
Very good. Michelle, your firm doesn't represent Blighted Properties, do they?
I had at one point during the summer because the solicitor had a conflict, but we were just advised last week or requested last week to commence working on blighted property at the next meeting.
Michelle's done it before, so
Yeah,
she
I've
winds up
seen-
doing the job.
Yes, so,
See you on the 14th?
I don't know. I have to look, I actually, before we were asked, I scheduled a zoning hearing board in another municipality, but Matt Fessler, I believe, is going to be assisting in September, but I will be prepping him and for it.
Um,
I said we should ask. We haven't officially received that, but I was talking with Miss Kelleher today, and I think that is going to be the case.
so it might be in the works.
Yeah.
Let's see here, I have to double check when the next greenhouse committee is. We're not doing a regular meetings, at this time.
It was, Mr. Chairman, this as well, it was postponed,
Ah,
but the, now I haven't been able to attend the meetings, but the committee did develop a plan, a proposed plan. I don't know if you had a chance to review it. I have not reviewed it thoroughly. I've looked it over. It's pretty comprehensive, for the greenhouse, the renovations and the funding and the management and maintenance thereof. So a lot of work has gone into it. It involves community organizations, as we had suggested. So I'll be looking that over, and I think it represents some great progress that the committee has made.
great. Yeah, there's a wide variety of people on that committee, so that's great. Does anyone else have anything for this section?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we did not have a workshop this month because we had such a light agenda. But I want to propose for the following month that we invite the city arborist, because I would like to discuss the city's shade tree ordinance, because a number of things have come up about trees with our the plans. I have a number of questions about that for the commission to understand, as well as in general how the ordinance works, and questions about that. And I'm thinking we might as well ask him too about the city's invasive species ordinance. I had suggested when we were working on the comprehensive plan going all the way back to 2015 that we develop a policy, the city, we call for it in the plan. Well, in the meantime, I didn't realize this. During the pandemic, at some point, the city did pass an ordinance on invasive species, which is great. So maybe you can explain that to us. I know we changed our species list under the subdivision and land development ordinance, but that's only one facet. So if there's anything he thinks we should know about that too, we might as well ask him at that time. That's if he can make next month or whenever. I'm just proposing that we invite him, because I think the workshop's an opportunity for to have these kinds of presentations instead of having them at the meetings when we have usually we have a lot of plans and reaffirmations and so forth, that we could, in a more informal setting, consider the presentation. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah, Will and I have discussed this earlier today, and yeah, it'd be a good idea. And Lester could either come in person or be invited in the Zoom call, but I'll reach out to him and see if he's available at our workshop session on the 19th.
Thank you.
And then we could work with other departments, for example, fire and rescue, police, other entities that we do ask for their opinions or reviews as part of the land development plan process. But if they have anything to add, I think it's a great idea to talk to them and get to know who's doing those portions of the review.
Yeah, it would. Thank you. It would be helpful not just to understand better the planning process, but as I said, as I hinted at, as we continue to work, on the comprehensive plan as well. We would need to know if they have any suggestions or something we need to know about that we haven't thought about. So that's why I thought it would be helpful for that as well. But thank you.
And we're also working on just to bring you up to date where we're at with zoning amendments and Saldo amendments. The phase 1 amendments have been completed a while ago, and we have now all the dot your i's, cross your t's for a legal perspective. So everything is now going to be brought in front of council for their review and consideration as part of the official adoption. Phase 2 of the amendments, which are focusing primarily on adaptive reuse and parking, staff is working on those between Emily, Ruth, and Shannon and myself. We are making those adjustments, and the parking is going to be taking a little bit longer than expected, but we'll be giving you updates as we complete that.
All right.
I did get a response from the fire marshal in response to Will's question.
Great.
Sorry, I gotta go back to it. Sorry, come here.
This is a sprinkler question or something?
Yeah.
I asked if does commercial space require separate water line for sprinklers? His response was yes, the fire service is separate than domestic unless specifically approved, which is very rare.
Okay, and that would be true, then it sounds like, for residential too.
I did ask him something about residential, but he's not got back to me on that question. But apartments, I'm sure for apartments, it's different. It would just be like maybe a single row home would probably have a single line, could use the same line. But
it could be approved, but generally the standard is that it has to be a separate line. Okay, well, that's helpful.
Okay, and if I get a further response, I'll send out an email.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe we don't have any minutes to review. No. So next planning commission meeting will be our workshop on Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. And hopefully we will see Mr. Kissinger there. Not the former Secretary of State. And then our regular voting meeting will be Tuesday, September 26th, 2023. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Tim. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I just wanted to report that the administration and myself met with Lori Ashcog from the BARDA, from the South Central Transit Authority. Lori is the SCTA planner for the area, including Reading, and she had a lot of good suggestions and comments. And the Planning Commission got brought up a number of times at our meeting. And one is because even though they've been involved in a lot of our land developments on an individual basis, you know, the ones where we have bus stops and we either have to temporarily discontinue them like we do for the STEM Academy and then relocate them or improve them when it goes back in, we do involve them in the review. They are appreciative of that and encourage us to continue that relationship while the individual land developments are being worked on. But even in a more broader sense, they're very interested in input from the Planning Commission for their future planning of bus stops and public transit within the city. And they understand that, you know, there's a lot of changes going on, particularly in the downtown with residential developments. And that's going to have an impact on how they do their transit planning. So she suggested that maybe they do a presentation at a future Planning Commission meeting. So we recommended that they contact you, Wayne, and maybe schedule a time here in the near future that they could do a little presentation and that you could learn what they're doing and what they would like to coordinate with the Planning Commission.
We might be able to do that.
do that, and I'm sure. Yeah,
I was also asked by Jamal to make sure that we copy Bartow on all our plan reviews as part of this process. But if they're available, I would suggest that they can come at our next workshop session as well, because we could hit those two topics within an hour.
okay, that sounds good. Okay, so, and what was her name again, Tim?
Lori Ashkog, AHLSKOG. Auskog.
Okay. Good Swedish name.
While we're on it, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask Public Works, I'll put you on the spot here. What's the latest on on the Ready School District school zone 15 mile per hour signs? All last summer they were. I know I was in touch with Public Works about this, trying to resolve it. I don't think it got resolved last summer, and again this year. Both I and I know Tim Kroll has been trying to get this resolved. I guess we have a contractor. It sounds like there must be some technical glitch or something. Did this finally get resolved? Because I've still been seeing these signs during what would be the school day here in the summer, as late as last week.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing, Will. I don't understand it. I don't know why this year is different than any other year. There was a little confusion last year because they wanted to open some schools during part of the summer for summer school. But we could not accommodate that because that requires, I mean, we could do it, but we couldn't do it on the spot. That requires signal modifications through PennDOT, has to be approved, and you have to, permanently change the operation of those signals with an approval. But anyway, that was last year. This year they did not request it. This year should have been normal. So, well, I don't have an answer for you. We went and checked with our contractor. That's Telco, who does all of our technical work on the traffic signals. And a school zone is considered a signal. It's actually a non-signal, but it is a signal. It's permitted and it has to go through the same rigors as a regular, stoplight. So they should have corrected those. I don't know why they haven't. School's going to open next week, I think.
Next week, and I see it on the two schools at 13th Street, and I know you've seen it, and Tyson Shane. I'm sure it's every elementary school.
Yeah, Tyson Shane was still blinking last week, and I called them up and told them that to get it corrected, and they should have done it.
Yeah, I appreciate your diligence. There must be some glitch, but it's kind of frustrating because we've tried, and I don't know if ever really got it resolved last summer before if it did, it was late in the summer. But this year, I thought it was going to be resolved right away when I first reported it, and it just hasn't happened. And I've been following up, and the compliance with that is not good during the school year, and I think it's just people are just going to ignore it. I can understand sometimes during the school year when there's a holiday they're still on, okay, but the whole summer, and there's no summer school. If there is, it's not corresponding with the times those lights are on. Let me put it that way, because it's not in every building.
Right, and we're not doing that unless we have an official approval from PennDOT to do that. We could, but we'd have to schedule that into the permit, and we haven't had any. And the school district knows that we haven't had any proposal from them to do that on a permanent basis.
So it's a little bit technical from the regulatory and the mechanical standpoint. So, but I was interested. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I hope it gets solved. And going forward, it won't be a problem again. Then I hope.
Yeah, I sent out the notices and everything, and they were supposed to take care of that from our front office. I'll find out if they followed up, and then I'll get back to you on that. And
thank you
we'll make
very
sure it
much.
doesn't happen next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This first day of school is Monday, the 28th.
Yeah, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else? Very good. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Yes. Okay. Peter first, Dan second. Okay. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Over. I wanted to not do
So
this.
good night.
Good night.
Very
Hey,
good.
Tim.